Hey guys, Magnus here, bringing you another video. Today we're going to be ranking all the mini events from 2019 from worst to best. So yeah, this includes all, how many are there? I think 3, 6, 7, 8, yeah, all 8 of them. So we got 8 in 2019, which I think is the most we've ever got from mini events. I think last year we got 6. So yeah, this was quite crazy that we got so many, but it's because they kind of axed one major event, because normally we get one more major event or 2 more in some cases. So they sort of axed a major event in place of this, plus also that we used to get like kind of week events as well. For example, we often got like the superheroes returns, for example, stuff like that. Like 4th of July sometimes took a week. St. Patrick's Day is the same. So sometimes we have updates that take up a week that are like minor events. But these are mini events. So these are events that only last about 2 weeks that have a one prize track. They don't have an act structure at all. They just have one sort of story. And they're normally based around one episode or a selection of episodes, but not many. Apart from a few exceptions this year. But anyway, so yeah, like I said, we're going to be going from worst to best, starting off with the worst, which I think is a Classless Reunion. Now, I don't think this is the worst piece of shit we've ever got, but I certainly don't think it's good. The only thing we get is Primetime Homer in terms of character. We get no character, so we get a character skin for Teenage Homer called Primetime Homer. And then for buildings, we get no buildings at all. And then for decorations, we got the Reunion Limo, the Pacific Princess, the Reunion Dance Floor, and the Prom Photo Booth. So yeah, I feel the Prom Photo Booth is especially worthless because it was 150 donuts and you just got a bunch of animations with it. The Reunion Dance Floor I find a bit hard to decorate, and the other 2 decorations I don't mind. I think they're good decorations, but really it doesn't stand out as a solid event when we don't have we don't have any buildings and don't have any characters. 2 decorations don't make up for that. Now, what I will say is the story is pretty solid. That is probably the one really good thing about this update. It's got 2 2 good decorations. I don't want to just say they're okay. They're good. And it's got a good story. So that's its pros, but I just think the lack of content really kind of kills this event for me. Plus, there was a long break before this. We got this update. Also, the yearbox thing was added, which I know some people really appreciate, and I do understand that the yearbook mystery box is really good because it does allow players to get things really cheap that would be quite expensive otherwise. And hell, yeah, that's a good thing. But I question whether this event is really. I'm not going to include things like this, so things like the yearbox, and unless it's weaved into the story, I don't really think it counts, so I'm not going to be counting it in this update really. So in total, I think, yeah, it's got some okay things, but I think compared to the other events, it just kind of falls a little flat, and it's mainly because of the lack of characters and buildings. All American Auction, so this was our Thanksgiving event. I wasn't a massive fan of this, I'll be brutally honest. Now, just want to say I'm not including the Black Friday stuff. I consider that a separate minor update within this update. I'm only taking the Thanksgiving stuff. So we got 2 characters. That was Paul Bunyan and CJ Pro Bidder. And then we got the buildings. We got 2 buildings. We got Springfield Swap Meet and the Springfield Storage Locker. Now, the reason why this one's so low, and also by the way we got a Swap Meet stage as a decoration. The reason why I think this one is lower, well, the reason why I've put this one lower than the others is partly just, again, because of content. I think the story wasn't as good as Classless Reunion, but what this does have over Classless Reunion is we get 2 okay characters. I like Paul Bunyan. I think it does make sense that he's not a skin for Homer because it is meant to be a separate character. So, although it does look like Homer. And also Paul Bunyan looks awesome. He's big, he's huge, he's got some interesting animations. I would have preferred it if they added his the calf he hangs out with, that big cow thing, whatever it is, a calf or a cow or a bull? No, I think it's a bull. But I would have preferred it if they added him in the game as well as a character. But maybe they will down the line, who knows. But I think his animations and overall, he's pretty cool. I like him. My only disadvantage to the Paul Bunyan character is he's a Homer lookalike, and yeah, that's his only downfall for me. And then CJ Probitter, I don't think he's as good as Paul Bunyan personally, but he's okay as well. He's not terrible. Again, though, just the buildings. I mean, the Springfield Swap Meet I think's not an amazing building. I don't hate it. And the storage locker, there's nothing to it for me. It's just kind of bland. So really the buildings let it down, and the decorations, we only got the swap meet stage, and I hate shit like this. I hate these kind of corner stages. They really annoy me. We've got so many of them, and they're really difficult to place. So yeah, that's my opinion of it. The story wasn't as good as Classless Reunion. It really only gets the edge because of Paul Bunyan. Paul Bunyan carries this event to its to not to last for me. But overall, it was a little forgettable, this entire event, and yeah, I don't think I'm going to be looking back on it thinking it was too amazing. Krusty's Last Gasp Online, and I hate that title. That's the first thing. So yeah, this update has Sideshow Raheem. That was the only character we got. But the reason why I think this update is definitely better than All American Auction and the Classless Reunion is the buildings. We get a lot of kind of nice house buildings, I want to say them as. So we get the Krusty Retreat, which I quite liked. Very nice building. The Krusty Clown College, which I've been wanting for a while, so that's cool. And then the Club Krusty Adult Retreat, which is another nice building. Overall, some pretty cool buildings. I like all three of them. They're very nice, and they're easy to decorate, and they look great in the town. So yeah, I like all three of those buildings. The decorations fall a little flat. We get the Last Gas stage and the Krusty Tears set, which I don't hate. I kind of hate because they fall in the same category as that stage, that swap meet stage for me. They're just really difficult to decorate. But the Club Krusty pool was okay. I like that decoration. That's a good decoration. I'll give it its reward. Yeah, I think my only disadvantage would be the fact that 2 of the buildings are donuts, whilst you only get Krusty Retreat. All the decorations take up the prize. Also, I forgot to mention, we also get Sideshow Lisa as a character. And yeah, Sideshow Lisa is pretty cool as a character. I like Sideshow Lisa. Sorry, not as a character, costume. It's a cool costume, I think. It's not amazing, but I don't think it's bad. Yeah, so overall, I think this update definitely wins me over more than Classless Reunion and what's it called? Forgot his name. All American Auction. Yeah, it's got some memorable stuff in it, so that's good. And yeah, overall, it's a pretty cool update. The story's good as well, which is a plus. So yeah, that's it for this update. State of Despair. So yeah, I mean, this update's not bad. I think a lot of people forgot about it though. A lot of people didn't really vote for it in the Tapped Out Awards either, but I think it's pretty solid as an update. It's got 2 okay. I mean, I like Judge Harm. I think she's a really cool character. She's quite evil, but I think her character was really interesting. And I think, yeah, she's interesting in the game as well. She has an okay questline. I will admit, Governor Mary Bailey isn't too great. I mean, she's okay, but she doesn't have anything that compelling and that amazing. And she's not exactly a Simpsons sort of character that you remember. But I think she was okay. She's not bad, I don't think. And then the 2 buildings, Springfield Mystery Spot I really like, and the Juvenile Courthouse I really like too. So I was happy with the buildings. I guess my only complaint really is there's not enough buildings. And then we got the Museum of Zippers, the Potbelly Pigeon Feeder, and the Field Trip Memorial. Apart from, I'm not a massive fan of the Museum of Zippers, but the other 2 are pretty cool. I like them. And then there is the Skyfinger Monument, but I'm not going to consider this a part of the update because it was kind of a separate thing. So if I was to include it, I probably would be higher, this update, but I'm not including it. But even not including it, I still think it's a solid update. I feel like a lot of people have forgotten about this, but I haven't. I remember this update. I like it. I think it's good. And I understand why some people wouldn't be happy with it. It's kind of it's got a political theme, and I feel like the story lets it down a tiny bit because it didn't feel as cohesive as it could have been, and it didn't feel as kind of well weaved as some of the other events. But I still think it was yeah, it's a good update with good characters and an okay story and some 2 cool buildings and 1 very cool character. I like Judge Constant Harm. I think she's cool. So yeah, overall that is State of Despair. Cthulhu's Revenge. So this is probably my most surprising ranking on this list. I've ranked this quite high because, I don't know, there was something about this update I liked. Now, I know that this entire update is based off the opening of the Treehouse of Horror. When I first found that out, and when I first sort of looked at this event, I was like, oh, that's annoying. Why the hell did they do that? But I don't know. After a lot of time, even after doing my timeline video, where I kind of bashed it a little bit in my timeline video, but even after that, I don't know. I like this update. There's something about it, and when I was like comparing it to the other updates when I was making this video, it just to me it felt right putting it this far because of two big reasons. Cthulhu is a really, really awesome character, and Munster. I think Munster is the standout character in this update because we have technically had him in the game for years, but we haven't had him as an official character until now. Now, I realise that the Munster event that we got, the Halloween event, is one of the worst Halloween events ever, but regardless, I don't know, there's something about it. I like the fact that they kind of went back to his character, they added his father, Cthulhu, and we got Munster. And yeah, I'm happy we've got him in the game finally. They both look awesome. Both Cthulhu and Munster look awesome in the game. They're pretty menacing. And I really liked it. The buildings we got was the Fogbury, Port, Lighthouse and Pier, which was an okay building. I like that. And the Relais Bermuda Triangle layer. I quite like that one too. It's kind of cool that it goes underwater. Now, we also got the Cthulhu Monument, which is a really a really awful kind of a really awful building because it should be a decoration. And that one I will kind of give it, that's not great. But we got two good buildings, I would say. And then we got decorations with the Oyster Eating Table, which I think's okay. And the Fogbury Cemetery. I'm just really confused why the Fogbury Cemetery is not a building, because the other cemeteries we got in the game are buildings. So that one confused me a little bit, but regardless, I think it's a cool decoration to have. And yeah, the story's solid. I mean, you can't say the story's bad. I mean, it's structured right. It's structured all about Cthulhu, and I don't know, there was a lot of comedy in this update as well. I really enjoyed the questline, and that's partially the reason why it's so high as well. There's just something about this update for me that, I don't know, I was charmed by it. I'm glad that they tried to, although it did feel like, yeah, let's scrape this shit from the bottom of the barrel, like we're just going to do a whole update on an opening. It kind of worked. I mean, it probably wouldn't work with many openings, but with this one I felt it did, and I don't know, I'm happy with placing it this high, although I'm saying it's the fourth best update mini event of the year. I don't know, I think that's right, in my opinion. So yeah. The Real Moms of Springfield. So yeah, this is my third best update, third best mini event of the year in my opinion. And there's a good reason. I think this event, although I feel like it was easy because it's based on mothers, it's essentially our very first Mother's Day event, and it's based around just mothers and the buildings they interact with. And those mothers being Mrs. Prince and Jerry McElberry, two I would consider good characters. I wouldn't say they're great, but they're good. And they had some interesting stuff. I would say that Jerry was better than Mrs. Prince, but Mrs. Prince wasn't bad either. I like the stuff that they did with her questline as well. We also got Jake Boyman as a skin, which I completely forgot about for the awards, but I probably would say this is maybe my favourite skin of the year. I completely forgot about it because for some weird reason, I think I thought it was from last year. I don't know why when I was doing the list. And that's my fault. It's not Ted or Lorcan's fault. It generally is my fault. And then we got two buildings. Jittery Joe's Coffee and the Needle Exchange. Two really cool buildings. I mean, they fit really nice and they look cool. And then we got one decoration, the Kitchen Carnival, which, it's kind of crappy, but I mean, I'm not going to hate on it too much. It's okay. Yeah, I mean, overall, this event was very solid. There was a lot of cool stuff in here. I enjoyed it. It was structured properly. It just flowed really nicely. Although I feel like some stuff, the Jake Boyman tie-in was a little but I mean overall it was done okay. But the one thing I will sort of, I don't know, I'm okay with them doing this, but of course this update sort of started the trend of adding. It was really the Valentine's Day update that started the trend, but this update is responsible for adding in halfway through the questline, you can either get Nanny Sophie Mussolini or Mona Simpson. We get both of them, or you get a land token. But you do get two two characters that you wouldn't have otherwise. So I guess that's cool in itself. You're getting two characters in for doing one thing. So I don't know. I'm fine with it, to be honest. I'm fine with them doing it once per sort of prize track. but if they do it twice, it kind of annoys me, like with what they did with Waves in Toyland. But yeah, overall, I think this update was very solid. It's got an easy, nice structure to it, and I hope that they repeat this and do a real Dads of Springfield. I'm really hoping they do that, because they've set themselves up like for a really easy update, because we can just get Mr. Mackleberry and Martin Prince Sr. Easy. We just get their husbands, and Father's Day in America is not too long, but it's like, I'm not sure if it's before or after Mother's Day. I think every Father's Day is the same. I forget when Father's Day is, but Mother's Day is different around the world. But the Father's Day is quite close to America's Mother's Day, so they definitely could align it with this kind of update and do a sequel to it as such. But yeah, that is the Real Moms of Springfield. I thoroughly enjoyed it personally. It was really good. So yeah, moving on to number 2. Flanders Family Reunion. Now I feel like some people expected me. I feel like people expect me to put this as number 1, but there is a reason why there is another one I think is just a little bit better. But regardless, Flanders Family Reunion was a cool update. So we of course got 3 characters, unless you count Coach Pommelhorse. Now for I'm not counting Coach Pommelhorse because she is unlocked in the Yard Sale Mystery Box. Now, the Yard Sale Mystery Box was obviously something kind of new that we got, where it was a bunch of old stuff, and Coach Pommelhorse was thrown in there with a bunch of returning stuff. Now, I'm counting that as separate, because I feel like that's fair. I've counted the tapping thing that in State of Despair, I count that separate, and I'm counting the yearbook mystery boxes as separate. So I'm going to count this separate, therefore I'm counting Coach Pommelhorse as not in this update. So we got 3 characters, Canadian Flanders, Lord Thistlewick Flanders, and Ted Flanders. And I like all of them, but I think the standout is Lord Thistlewick for me. I think he's really cool. But honestly, they are one-note characters. They're in one scene and they have a line, that's it. And part of me has to take that into consideration, although I think they were done fairly well in the game, and I liked them in the game, they were cool. And then we also got 2 buildings, Humbleton and Lefmison. I was annoyed a little bit that we didn't get more of Humbleton in this update, because I feel like they should have done this separate, because they could have given us, there is like the left, there's like a left-handed mall in Springfield that Flanders points out in an episode. I kind of wish they gave us that instead of Humbleton, because the Humbleton stuff really should have been left for another update, because there's so much stuff in there that they can give us, and we shouldn't have got Ted Flanders either. But that's just my opinion. I mean, it annoys me a little bit because Humbleton is such a strong episode for a mini event. And then for decorations, we got the Flanders Family Reunion banner, the crowd of Flanders family members, and the herbal spinach cart. All 3 I liked. They're all okay decorations. They're not bad. Yeah, I mean, this update's got a lot of good stuff in it. It's got a strong theme. Flanders is the theme, and it's done really well. I liked both Canadian Flanders, Lord Thistlewick, and Ted Flanders. I think they're all pretty cool characters. Like the buildings are okay too, even though I'm a little annoyed that they called it I wish it's just a nitpick, but I just wish they called it Humbleton Entrance, because Humbleton is the whole town, whereas this is just the entrance to the town. But that's a small nitpick. Regardless, I like both Humbleton and the Lefmison. They're 2 cool buildings. And yeah, I mean, it's a solid update. We got 3 characters, which is the most we're getting in an update, and that's if you don't count Coach Pommelhorse, which I'm not. So yeah, it's a solid update, but I think there is one better update out there, and so we will have that drum roll, please. Not Yet Spring Cleaning. Yeah, so the very first update of the year, Not Yet Spring Cleaning, we got this in January last year, of course, and I still think it stands out as the best update, best mini event anyway of the year, possibly one of the best updates of the year, if I kind of knock a few points off the major events just because they're major events. But yeah, this update is really solid. We get 2 really awesome characters that I've been wanting the game for so long and were definitely executed very well. That is Alex Glick and Lewis Clark. Alex Glick especially because previously we had that Hot Flash costume and it really annoyed me that we had Hot Flash and not Alex Glick. So I'm glad that they finally added her into the game and it felt meaningful. Although I would have preferred it if Hot Flash turned into a costume. But whatever, that's over now. Who cares? But Lewis Clark is also a really cool standout character. One of the most, one of these background characters that's been there since the beginning of Simpsons and has been there since its current season. So it's really cool to get both of them. Plus the buildings. This is a standout update for buildings, and this is an example where buildings kind of, regardless of Flanders Family Reunion giving us free characters, the buildings in this update outweigh that, because we get Miss Glick's house, which I love. I love residential buildings. I think they're awesome. This one especially, there's something about it. It's just really gorgeous. I love it. Springfield University, although I think it's scaled weirdly, I still like it. I just wish it was a tiny bit bigger. The original Brown house, and this is a original tapped out building, and normally I kind of hate them, but this one I like. I don't know, there's something about it. It works in the story and it made sense for them to give us that. Plus, there is this kind of thing that we have multiple Brown houses, although the Brown house is meant to be one building, but we have like the Brown house, the destroyed Brown house, the cool Brown house. We have all these, and then we have the Powell house as well. They're all the Brown house, by the way. They're all meant to be the same building, but because the design kind of changed over the years and they did things with the story, obviously they gave us multiple. I don't know, something about this original Brown house, it was kind of cool to get some lore behind the Brown house, because there's something about it, like always characters always go in it, and it felt right. It felt like the tapped out trying to expand its universe. So I was really happy with the original Brown house. I thought it was a really creative idea. The Box Factory, which I love. I've been wanting that in the game for ages. And Golden Goose Realty. Now, I'm skeptical of whether or not I count this as the update, because it's not like some of the other stuff where it was consumables. The tapping thing that we got, that was kind of separate because it was free, but this was donuts. So I don't know. If you count the Golden Goose Realty, this update is far above all the others. If you don't, it's still above them, I think, but maybe not as high. But yeah, something about this, man. This update is really special. It felt like they put a lot of heart into this, especially with that whole original Brown House stuff. We also got a decoration, the Mighty Pigs practice rink, which I wasn't too fussed on. It was okay. That of course came with Lewis. And the story is surprisingly good. Now, this is not based on any sort of episode at all. This is a completely original story. It's all about the Brown House, the original Brown House sort of swallowing children. It's kind of gone evil. It's just so special. They actually put a lot of work into the story, I think, and it's written really well. And I love the mystery. I love the kind of lore they made for the Brown House, and I really wish I really hope they do more with it, because it's awesome. I think Alice Glick was incorporated really well into the event, and she made sense. I think Lewis Clark was a little iffy because it was kind of a throw-in, but regardless, I think it worked. Yeah, overall, I think this update is really, really solid, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a great start to the year. Maybe if Valentine's Day came first, I don't know. This update for me was so wacky and so awesome. I'd love this update, and I will defend it to its dying breath that it is the best mini event, of 2019, in my opinion. And that is it for the mini events ranked worst to best. So tell me your thoughts on which one you thought was best. Just maybe give me your top 3 or your top 1, or rank them all if you want. Obviously this is just my opinion. I understand if people have different opinions, but that's just how I feel. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Tell me your thoughts, and I shall see you next video. Goodbye.